Hey guys, welcome back to Defeating Hair Loss. I'm Steve, and I'm lucky again. Lucky Steve. Got Bobby in the house.
What's up, Steve?
Welcome back, Bobby D.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
It's your hair I really want here, Bobby.
I'm doing all right.
I'm kidding. You're great. He's a great guy. He really is. And your hair looks fantastic.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me tonight.
Appreciate it.
We'll have a little fun tonight. You ready for some fun?
Yeah,
all right, cool.
always.
Look what I brought. I got a cocktail glass for you, okay?
Turn up tonight,
I
Steve.
got a cocktail glass, and I got a cocktail glass for me. And guess what else? I got a bottle of tequila.
It's a party.
How do you like that?
Heck yes.
Isn't that fun? Doesn't it sound fun?
Been a long week.
I forgot to ask you, do you drink alcohol?
Occasionally, Steve.
Occasionally?
Every now and then.
I gave up alcohol in 2024. Hold on. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. It's supposed to be a pretty good tequila brand. So here's the point, right? We're talking about margaritas, and I think we all know out there, if everybody appreciates a nice margarita, you like margaritas?
Yeah.
I got a confession to make. Like when I did drink alcohol, I'm very wimpy. Very wimpy. Now I'm trying to cover it up with some muscle, but man, am I a wimp. And let me say this, is that, I get drunk easy. I can barely drink like 2 beers. I'll go to sleep. It's insane.
Cut them off.
So when I go out with my friends, like, Bobby, who was invited me to a few birthday parties, and it's always nice to see his friends, and he's awesome. Thank you again for inviting me. And, you got to kind of hold your own. Everybody's drinking. Everybody's having fun. It's kind of a little bit of a social peer pressure. So, that was a couple years ago, but margaritas, who doesn't like margaritas? So it's funny because I like the fruity drinks.
Me too, Steve. Me too.
I like the little fruit in the drinks. I like the umbrellas in the drinks.
Tastes so much better, Steve.
I like the straw, the rum runners, the fruit. I don't like hardcore alcohol taste. I can't drink whiskey. I guess scotch is whiskey, bourbon, and all that stuff, man. Keep it away from me, right? So just bring on the margarita.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. Haven't had a margarita in a long time. Maybe I'll, check it out now and then when I'm at some social gathering. But the point is that a cocktail, if it's done properly at a really good bar, is done really well, tastes really well. And there's different mixes you can make. And I think if I remember that a margarita, of course we know the main component, what we call does the heavy lifting, is the tequila. Then you've got lime juice, you've got the twist of lime, you've got some agave, some mix that is special made by the bartender. If that's you, then you know what's in that recipe, and there's different recipes. So what does that have anything to do with hair loss, hair transplants? I'm going to make a kind of a pledge, or I'm going to make a request, or whatever you want to call it, to all you out there listening. And by the way, this doesn't upset me when you do this, but I get a lot of information, a lot of messages, a lot of comments, and bring them on, keep them coming, about changing the dosing, mixing up the cocktail, changing the cocktail of the finasteride, the minoxidil, the biotin, all that stuff. For some reason, there's this, I guess it's an internet thing, there's this kind of attraction, there's this magnetism toward changing things. So back to the margarita, if I have a really good frozen margarita, I don't want anything to change. I just want, maybe if I want to get a little drunk, I'll add another shot. However, with the cocktail of the hair magic medicine that Bobby uses, that I use, we don't want you guys doing anything to the ingredients of that cocktail. It's not going to help you to raise the dose. It's not going to help you to lower the dose. And I know the internet is loaded with information. I'm not against the internet. As a matter of fact, I'm a big fan of the internet, but I get overwhelmed with information too. So what we need to do is we really need to focus on what works. We really need to focus on what the best studies prove. When we go back to the finasteride, which was at one time called Propecia, there's a 12-year case study. It's actual clinical data to be approved by the FDA. And for that, they came up with 1 milligram of finasteride. Now, I won't go off on a tangent out to Pluto. However, the 5 milligram Propecia, which is called Proscar for enlarged prostate when you're in your 50s and 60s from a male perspective, they spent those 12 years trying to figure out how to benefit from that medication, which was growing hair on bald guys' heads. However, they were using the medication for something else in the body. What dose would work? So 12 years of data, 12 years of experimenting, and they come up with 1 milligram. So let's just not bother changing any of that, at least not right now. The 5 milligrams of minoxidil is something that the doctors that I like to associate myself with, the network of doctors, I call them the Coalition of Independent Physicians, hair doctors, that do this as a specialty. They decided that in the male body, 5 milligrams will work. If you're at least like 170 pounds or 160 pounds, it's not going to affect you. It's a hypertensive medication that is dosed at 20 to 25 milligrams, or used to be, it's not even used anymore, for high blood pressure. So what we have seen with the 5 milligrams, it doesn't do any damage to anything. There's no side effects, there's no issues, there's no problems. Right, Bobby?
Yep.
And we want to leave it at that. And then the 1 milligram of biotin is just what's sold at GNC or over the counter or whatever. So what is the point of all this, Steve? The point is that 1 milligram of finasteride, 5 milligrams of minoxidil, 1 milligram of biotin in the male body, 2.5 milligrams of finasteride for those outside childbearing years. From a female perspective, 2.5 milligrams of minoxidil in the female cocktail, and 1 milligram of biotin is what works for females. So here's what you need to do. You need to marry yourself to the cocktail components of these milligrams of these medicines for at least 1 year. You need to go into a clinic, like we like to use Dr. McGrath as an example because he did both of our hairlines and we're really happy. He's a full service clinic that the staff is awesome, and they'll get your photos and they'll get your baseline photos, and then you get a 6-month follow-up and a 1-year follow-up. Now we're talking, because this cocktail is able to do its best on you over that first year. It's going to maintain after that. However, you're going to get all those results within the first year. So before we start mixing up agaves and the shot glasses and putting in too much of this and a little bit of that and less of this and experiment, when we got a great cocktail of a margarita, hence we have a great cocktail of this magical 3-component medicine. Let's all cut ourselves a break. Let's stay off the internet in regards to listening to people say, oh man, you could use 0.5 and get the same result. Or you could lower the minoxidil and raise the finasteride. Or you could throw in a little dutasteride. Stop confusing yourself. Stop getting on that hamster wheel. Because I'm happy to take on those questions. I'm happy to respond to you. I'm happy to email you. I'm happy to review your photos. Right, Bobby?
Yep.
However, I'm here to tell you, because now we have a really nice audience out there, thank you very much for watching, that you should first just stick with the standard operating procedure. The components need to be X, Y, and Z for the male, X, Y, and Z for females, and then you stay on that for 1 year, and then if we see things that we need to change, I don't see why we would, but if you happen to just catch something on the internet that wants to suggest you lower the dose or higher the dose, we're happy to talk about it. So again, I really get off on helping people, right, Bobby?
Yes, you do.
And I just want to make this easy for everyone. I lost my hair at 17. I was bald at 18. He started losing his hair at 27, 28. I saved him. And now look at this guy.
Thanks to Steve Michaels.
Steve Michaels. So Steve Michaels is here to help you. That is all I care about. And I'm here broadly, letting you know that you don't need to change any of the components of the cocktail. You need to stick to the game plan for at least 1 year, and then we'll revisit it, we'll reevaluate it. But yes, get those baseline photos. And I know all of you can't get into one of these independent doctors, these hair experts. So make sure you get into a bathroom in your home or apartment that doesn't have any windows. So it doesn't matter what time of day. Try not to change the light bulbs from month 1 to month 6 or month 12. And get some good photos, mainly of the head down. And then if I could turn my body around and just look up at the ceiling, you would see it from the back. And that's what we're really looking at, where we really want to see a change in the density and, the hair stop from getting wimpy and miniaturizing and falling out. And it will work about 98% of the time. That I can guarantee you.
I can vouch for it. So,
Bobby, how did you feel about your experience with, you were a little nervous in the beginning, and now you're kind of on the point.
That's really good now. I made a video on my own channel about, what I look like before, even taking finasteride, and just saved my hair. So,
well, it looks certainly
I can
did.
vouch for it.
So, Bobby, again, if you haven't seen any of our other videos, Bobby's an example of my dream come true, in a good way, in a heterosexual way. From a hair perspective, although he's super good looking. But my thing is that I want to save the world of hair loss. And then it doesn't work as well in the very front edge, especially with the male pattern. So that's where we do hair transplants. So Bobby is a living, breathing example of my work, of my dream come true in regards to this one guy, but that's good enough for here, and kind of help you understand that you need to stop your hair from falling out, maximize the recovery of your hair. That takes up to a year. Stay on that medication. Don't change the cocktail, and then we can talk about doing a hair transplant in your hairline. Hope that helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe.